بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Whatever the situation, the people of Iman have the basirat. Ittaqu firasat al-mu'min. Be cautious of the spiritual insight of a believer. When he sees binurillah, with the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the people of Iman, the stronger their Iman is, the more they have basirat. When the internal becomes strong, the external also becomes strong. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullah wal tanzur nafsum ma qaddamat li ghad. O people of Iman, fear Allah. So that's a priority. And let every soul look and see what they put forth for tomorrow. Tomorrow being akhirat, priority. Tomorrow being every day, because every day is a day for the believer where he plans his actions. He's not just doing things spontaneously, but he's doing things meticulously well planned. وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Even though the people of Batil are planning, but when the people of Haqq do what they have to do, then they fall into Allah's plans. The fact that Allah is saying that Allah also has a plan, and the people of Iman also should have a plan, and things shouldn't be done spontaneously. A Sahabi came to Nabi alayhi salam and said, Ya Rasulullah, arsilu naqati, my camel that I have, should I leave it, let it loose, wa tawakkal, and I trust in Allah, am aqilha, or should I tie it, should I keep it tied up, and then trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Sahabi was told that tie your camel wa tawakkal, and then trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So first tie your camel, then trust, not just reliance alone. So reliance is important, it's the main ingredient, but leaving asbab is not part and parcel of the command of Allah. فَامْشُوا فِي مَنَاكِبِهَا وَكُلُوا مِنْ رِزْقِهِ. If you have tawakkul in Allah, then why do you go to work? Why do you strive? Just sit at home and wait for rizq to come from the asman. So in worldly terms, we understood for rizq we need to make effort, but in everything else we haven't understood the importance, and that's why we are told in the hadith, Salillah al-Huda. Ask Allah for hidayat, the road to hidayat, the road to come into Sirat Mustaqim. Wasalillah as-Sadad, and ask Allah for guidance. In ulama explain that accuracy in your arrows. So a believer is accurate in his deen, a believer is accurate in his dunya as well. So deen is all about getting it right, and that's why deen is there to teach us how to get it right in dunya and how to get it right in akhirah. As the Arabic saying goes, La ghinan ma'asui tadbirin. There is no riches, there is no wealth, there is no independence with bad planning. So when a person doesn't plan well, he'll become a slave to others, he will become a slave to the planning of others, he will become a slave, he will become a victim to all these structures of batil. Yustadallu ala idbar bi arba'in su'it tatbir. It is considered a failure, it is considered as a retreat when four things when a person has. One is bad planning. Number two, وَقُبْحِ التَّبْذِيرِ. And when a person is very extravagant, they're not thrifty. وَقِلَّةِ الْاعْتِبَارِ. And when a person does not use his conscience, his thought processes, and does not consider situations and ponders, etc., that will be a means of his destruction. وَكَثْرَةِ الْاعْتِذَارِ. And making excuses and finding reasons not to do things. So that's the very reason why treadmills are in the houses collecting dust, because we don't have this sifat, we don't have these qualities. We've become a victim to these systems. You see, a person went to a doctor and did a test. He said, you need to go to the specialist. So the specialist ran a lot of tests, and after he was done, he told the man, you've got 6 months to live. So the man said, you know what, to pay your bill, I need a lot more time, I can't afford it. What do I do? The doctor said, you know what, let me see, let me do more tests. So he did retests. The bill was a little bit more higher, and he said, you know what, I've got good news, you've got 12 months to live. You've got 12 months to live. So we should never be oblivious of the environment. A believer is strong, resilient, enduring, persevering. And a hallmark of the people of Iman are they brave and courageous. They don't buy stories. Physically they prepared, psychologically they prepared, mentally they prepared, and they don't get caught by the propaganda and plotting. And they weigh everything with a pinch of salt. They consider everything. They don't swallow things and just get caught easily. La yuldakhul mu'min. A believer is never bitten by the same hole twice. We look through history and see the plotting. We look through timelines. We forecast the people of Iman. Allah has given them that foresight. And we are witnessing an era where laws will start being put in place against people, against their deen, against their freedom, and the Dajjali system to control people. One is they control people, as is done in the past, through ma'asiyat and sin. Busy on the PlayStation all day, busy on the television, watching movies, sports, social media. Maulana Yusuf rahmatullahi used to say, if you do what you're supposed to do, you will not do what you're not supposed to do. And he used to say, agar tum wo karega jo log nahi kar rahe ho, if you do that which people are not doing, Allah tumhare saath wo karega jo logo ke saath nahi karte. Allah will deal with you in such a way which He doesn't deal with everybody else. You'll have a special relationship with Allah. Maulana Inaamul Hasan used to say, all the fitna on earth is because the ummah doesn't know what to do with their free time. So the fact that we are not engaged in ibadah, in tilawah, in dua, in training and preparation, our skills, our potential are lost in avenues which is destruction. Maulana Sayyid Khan Sahib you say, most of the fitnas will end when power goes, when electricity goes, because most of their systems, the Dajjali systems, run on electricity. So when laws start coming in for monitoring laws, then you must know the system of capturing, as we discussed in the Qiyamah series. COVID catapulted this concept of monitoring already through Google, social media, smartphones, etc. But we look at it now in China, every movement, every harkat, on every street there's a camera. They know exactly where, when, what, how. Then they've got the currencies, e-currencies. They'll shut you down anytime. Then they'll take your land. They'll control your land. And they'll tell you you own nothing, but you'll be very happy. Then buying out as much land as possible. Look at Bill Gates controlling water reserves, making laws that will incapacitate people, that they won't have any freedom, and they won't have any freedom of speech or any alternate means. Laws to prevent ammunition, guns, etc. Laws that will prevent people from going off the grid, make it more expensive, make it not possible. Different laws will come in place. And if we look at this Dajjali system, or when the apocalypse will happen, the grid needs to go down, and we need to go down 1400 years in time. We need to go 1400 years in time. فجاءهم الصريخ إن الدجال قد خلفهم في ذراريهم. A cry would reach them, Dajjal has taken place among your offspring. This long riwayah where these people, the soldiers of Allah, will then realize that Dajjal's appearance is imminent. فَيَبْعَثُونَ عَشَرَةَ فَوَارِسَ. They will dispatch 10 horsemen, a scouting party. Nabi alayhi salam said, إِنِّي لَأَعْرِفُ أَسْمَاءَهُمْ وَأَسْمَاءَ آبَائِهِمْ وَأَلْوَانَ خُيُولِهِمْ. I know their names, the names of their forefathers, the color of their horses. They will be the best horsemen on the surface of the earth. Hum khayru fawarisa ala dhahri al-ardi yawmaidhin. So horses. And likewise in the riwayat of Isa alayhi salam, when he will come and Dajjal will be in front of him, dhaba kama yadhubul milh, he will melt like how salt melts in water. Walakin yaqtuluhu Allah biyadihi. And Isa alayhi salam will kill him with his own hands. فَيُرِيهِمْ دَمَهُ فِي حِرْبَتِهِ. And Isa alayhi salam will show them the blood of Dajjal with the spear that he has in his hands. The spear that he will have in his hands. So this harba, this spearhead, this lance, he will kill him with the harba. So again, possibly at that era we would be fighting with swords, and in another riwayat, sab'una alf Yahudi dhu sayf, all of them will have swords. Allah knows best what's the actual meaning, but if we had to go back in time and the previous bayans which was mentioned that all the systems will crash, and if there will be no access, then the only access we'll have will be your swords, your knives, your bow and arrows, your horses, etc. So we need to go back 1400 years in time and need to start building these skills and never get caught in the plotting of the people of Batil, etc., where we are not prepared. There was a story of a crane in a pond. There were small fishes. He used to pick the fishes and hunt them. However, as time went by, the rain didn't come and he couldn't get access to the fishes. So he addressed the fish and says that it makes me sad to think of your future, a miserable disaster. The fish said, what disaster are you talking about? He said, the pond is getting lower, you're running out of food, this drought will take its toll. So they said, what's the solution? So he said that you'll have to trust me. If you pick me, if you give me an opportunity, I will take you on my beak and I will take you to a bigger pond which is filled with food and beautiful lotuses and other different meals which will suffice. So they became suspicious. How we can believe you? So he said, don't worry, give me one of you, I'll show you. So he took one of them, took them to the place which he spoke about, and as it was true, he brought him back and he gave the report. So the fish didn't make bushra. They said, you know what, he's speaking the truth, and let's go ahead. So he took the first one. As he reached the place, he killed him and gobbled him up, and returned for the second, third, fourth, fifth, and eventually the crane emptied the entire pond. So there was no food left, and he seen a crab there. So he told the crab the same scenario, that there's a place like this, I will save you. So the crab also felt suspicious, and he agreed because he seen the situation is destruction. So the crane picked up the crab, let him hold on to his neck, But as they flew, the crab made sure his claw was on the neck. He clutched the neck of the crane. And as they got to the spot, the crane told him that I'm going to consume you now. This is a trick. So the crab laughed and said, do you think so I was foolish enough? I have you by the throat, locked in by my claws, locked in by my claws. The crane realized that he was in danger and released the crab exactly where he needed to be released, in the big beautiful pond. So the people of Iman also are not so gullible like the fish. And that's why in the Qur'an also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks of skill of knowledge and skill of physical strength. So the people of Iman are experts, they are proficient. وَقَالَ لَهُمْ نَبِيُّهُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ بَعَثَ لَكُمْ طَالُوتَ مَلِكًا. So the Nabi told them Allah has appointed Talut as the king over you. So the Bani Israel asked that time that they needed a king, and Talut was appointed the king, but he was not an ordinary person. He was a warrior, he was a soldier. The only issue Bani Israel had was that he was not a descendant of the house of kings. He didn't come from royal blood, and they objected. They said, Anna yakunu lahul mulk. How can he be king over us? How is it possible? وَنَحْنُ أَحَقُّ بِالْمُلْكِ. And we are more fit, we are more befitting for kingdom. He has not been given enough wealth. And since he was a poor person, he did not have wealth. They, in their words, justified him to be king. And in some tafasir, they say he used to bring water to people. Others say his profession was he used to dye skin. So the Jews at that point in time wanted somebody else according to their criteria. So what the Nabi said, Inna Allah stafahu alaykum. Allah has chosen him above you. Because Allah knows He's a'lam, He's knowledgeable. I did not choose him, but Allah has commanded. Your request was that. And what was his qualities? وَزَادَهُ بَسْطَةً فِي الْعِلْمِ وَالْجِسْمِ. Allah increased him abundantly in knowledge and stature. So he's more knowledgeable, he's more honorable, he's more stronger, he's more patient, he's more articulate in the skill and the art of combat, a knowledge of warfare. So his knowledge is better than you. And this is a quality of a king who is going to be a warrior for his people. So he's strong in spiritually, and he's strong physically as well. And the Nabi told them that Allah gives kingdom to who He wills and supreme authority. And that person who has this sifat here, strong spiritually, strong physically and mentally, Wallah yu'ti mulkahu man yasha. Wallahu wasi'un alim. Allah will grant it how He likes. So this was an embodiment of the skills that was needed. Likewise, Nabi alayhi salatu was salam as well. That once when Nabi alayhi salatu was salam was being described, they said, Kana Rasulullah ahsan nas ajwan nas asjan nas. He was the best of people, most generous, most brave and courageous. And once in Medina Munawwara at night, people were afraid and there was a loud sound. Everybody went to see what has happened. Nabi alayhi salam already returned. فَتَلَقَّاهُمْ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ رَاجِعًا. He was already returned, and he went, he investigated, he was on his horse, and he already returned to tell them that there's no need for insecurity and worry and concern. So the people of Iman are prepared. And now we have to go back 1400 years in time. So as discussed, firstly, with regards to the system around us, we need to be vigilant of all the plotting and planning. Secondly, we need to be physically healthy and strong. And we will go through, inshallah, what Quran and Hadith has encouraged us to do, and what preparation as the people of Iman we need to make. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ilham and reveal to us the command of this time, what's the need for the ummah. The amal for today is may yudillah bihi khayran yufaqihu fi din, whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends good for, Allah gives them the understanding of deen. So we need to engage in this chapter of knowledge and start learning deen. May Allah give us tawfiq of making amal. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.